Here we go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jazzbro Gonzo here. Another What's Next weekend edition. Happy Sunday. Being that we are just days away from Christmas, and no significant movie to speak of outside of the epic Spider-Man No Way Home, which of course was released on the 17th. What else do you got? Well, we could talk about top 10 music, top 10 movies, of course, since we are at the end of the year, and of course, there will be a time and a place for that. But in regards to this video, we are going to do our own version of a top 10, and that is top 10 franchises that went woke and then went straight to hell. Yes. Let's take a look, shall we? This comes out of Bounding Into Comics. Top 10 woke movies that ruined their franchises. Get Woke, Go Broke is a veritable billboard these days. It's an attempt to encapsulate everything that's wrong with our current culture war. Corporations like Gillette, Coca-Cola, Disney, and countless others who try to appease a fraction of the minority, and we're talking a very small fraction, of radical left-wing ideologues end up alienating the other 94%. I'm going to go with 98 on this one, to their own detriment. Hollywood is still fully in the tank for radical woke leftism in spite of their projects failing across the board as more fans tune out. These companies seem determined to double down, even triple down, shall I say, and destroy as many fan favorite franchises as possible. Will fans return with this when this nonsensical age of backwards logic and radicalism ends? It's looking less likely by the day. Now, these are not in any particular order, but I'm going to count them down from 10 to 1. Coming in at number 10, Terminator Dark Woke 2019. In the aftermath of the masterpiece that was Terminator 2, the franchise by James Cameron never succeeded in duplicating its own success. However, all progress ground to a screeching halt with the super woke Terminator Dark Fate, which came straight off of Hollywood's modernized assembly line. The decision to off John Connor in the first 5 minutes of the movie and replace him with a super petite Mary Sue was just the beginning of the film's woes. Radical eye-rolling feminism was everywhere, derailing the magic created by the first two films. Since Dark Fate was meant to be a direct sequel to Terminator 2, it was an insult to an injury and flopped and, shall we say, cratered as a result. Number 9. Ghost, I can't even use the word because it's an insult. I'm just going to say a Ghost Movie 2016 because, yeah. It can be argued that the so-so success of the recent Ghostbusters Afterlife was attributed to the god-awful 2016 reboot helmed by the insufferable Paul Feig, or Fig, however you want to pronounce his last name. The decision to swap genders and make Ghostbusters female with Chris Hemsworth as the non-intelligent version of Annie Potts' character, Janine, was its first mistake. For a film this woke, the joke should have been funny, but fans have found it more humor by drinking razor blades. This, combined with Leslie Jones' unacceptable attacks on fans, was enough to critically derail the film, and I mean off the rails. Conversely, Afterlife grossed $166 million against a $52 million budget, but would probably have fared better if not for this monkey wrench. Number 8, Wonder Woman 1984. Such promise. Yeah. The DCEU is essentially a series of mini franchises cobbled together into a single Justice League narrative, and one of them is Wonder Woman. Most moviegoers loved the first film. I did. Primarily due to the fact that Gal Gadot's heroine was not only strong, but also kind-hearted, romantic, and maternal. All things the left despises in a woman, because men can be women too. It's no wonder then that Wonder Woman 84 decided to go in the opposite polar direction. Wonder Woman goes from a likable superhero to a woke caricature within a span of the introduction. She even rapes an innocent man, literally, in the middle act, which seems to fly just fine with Hollywood. Oof. Such promise. And then for it to go from greatness to trash in just a couple of years says a lot. Number 7, Star Wars episode Who Gives a Damn? The Last Jedi. At this point, you know it's trash. Here we go. It won't be worth mentioning woke killjoys without including Ryan Roundhead Johnson's universally panned Star Wars The Last Jedi. Not only did the film go down as the second worst Star Wars film in the history, next to The Rise of Star Woke, but it lacked anything resembling a plot, even forethought. As a result, fans were left scratching their heads over the Swiss cheese narrative while squirming in discomfort over the woke specter hovering over the story. The elastic finally snapped within the introduction of the Vice Admiral Emmeline Holdo, a cookie-cutter third-wave feminist cutout with purple hair and a jackass mentality to boot, who spent her entire time emasculating the only intelligent male in the room. Number 6, Charlie's Angels, again, 2019. There was a time when Elizabeth Banks was a relatively likable actress, but since she's had denigrated herself into toxic unpalpability, it's no surprise that her directorial debuts on 2019 Charlie's Angels reboot ended in a complete abject disaster. You'd be hard-pressed to find one person within a 10-block radius that remembers it. A Charlie's Angels film that has the audacity to scold the audience for referring to leads as angels obviously has an agenda to keep. That, combined with a horrid marketing campaign, which sounded like it was drafted by Hillary Clinton herself, proved that this take on a classic series wasn't going to win any support. Number 5, No Time for Woke. No Time to Die, 2021. In truth, No Time to Die is less woke than audiences first thought, but that doesn't mean wokeness didn't have any part of its downfall. Any 007 film delayed for so many years was bound to test fans' patience. But the cast and crew decided to pick that open wound with a divisive, highly charged rhetoric. Eventually, it became obvious that the filmmakers were out to neuter Bond for the sake of fractional woke minority. It didn't play well. Bond's womanizing bad boy behavior is tied inseparable to his charisma. Remove one and the other goes with it. As of today, the film has grossed $661 million worldwide, which sounds like a lot, if not for the fact it needed to gross $900 million to break even. Men in Black International. Woof. The latest chapter in the Men in Black franchise will probably be its last, thank God. Thanks largely to its formulaic woke elements that comprise the bulk of the story. Essentially, International is more than an excuse to shoehorn at gunpoint male and female genders into two respective categories with separate criteria. Namely, the men are all morons and the women succeed simply because they're breathing. Remove all humor, miscast a male lead, and try to ride the coattails of the brand recognition, and the result of the film is managed to claw back its own budget, barely. Mortal Kombat 2020. The makers of 2020 Mortal Kombat adaptation were fully invested in the idea that an R rating and some brutal fatalities would draw audiences in. As such, staple elements such as a solid plot, character development, and adherence to the source material were considered unnecessary. After all, it's Mortal Kombat. Then there was Cole, a character written specifically for the movie who nobody wanted, who nobody asked for, and felt like a stand-in. The reasoning behind the decision was to find an excuse to knock fan favorite character Johnny Cage out of the film because he was white. The film nabbed a paltry, laughable $83 million as a result. Birds of Prey. Yeah, so let's just keep the fun going, shall we? Birds of Prey should be hated for one reason, and one reason only. It derailed the success of the excellent 2021 Suicide Squad film. If ever there was a poster child for wokeness, this was it. And it didn't resonate either with female or male moviegoers. At best, it made its budget back or fell slightly short. Amidst the obvious all men are rapists, misogynist idiots theme that permeates Hollywood culture these days, Birds of Prey had the temerity to give a shout out to extreme radical communist politician Bernie Sanders. Yes, Weekend at Bernie's, a man who advocates for 90% corporate tax rate, honeymooned within the Soviet Union, and said breadlines were a good thing. And last, but certainly, oh my, not least, Captain Woman 2019. Perhaps the only character in MCU history to live in a microcosm, Captain Woman performed less than expected of her 2019 debut. Essentially a Mary Sue played by the insufferable and pretentious and wooden-like acting ability that is Brie Larson. Captain Woman was a victim of its own talking points and its main star embarrassed behavior. Captain Woman also own woke agenda wasn't even clever enough to disguise itself. It's as fake as Larson and the 90s era timeline it placed it in. Everything felt manufactured, forced, in contrast to previous MCU titles that felt effortless and invigorating. The result is that Disney now has no faith in Captain Woman's character, even going so far as preemptively name their upcoming sequel, The Marvels. My thoughts. Great top 10. Top 10 woke. Movies that stand out that should have never been made sequels to, but did so because of stupidity and ignorance and moronism. Wonder Woman, to me, is the biggest standout of them all because of such goodness that came out of the 2017 film. Gadot was a breath of fresh air as the lead character. Chris Pine did an amazing job as Steve Trevor. And of course, the setting, the storyline, the way the characters interacted with each other. Wonder Woman's tendency to be strong, empowering, but yet female made 2017's Wonder Woman so great. Let's zoom forward. Wonder Woman 1984. Why must everything good get trashed by Hollywood? Because that's what Hollywood does. That's what Hollywood does. They did it to He-Man. They did it to She-Ra. They're doing it. Who knows what other devious, demented morons who are running these damn studios are up to next. Pretty much anything nostalgic, anything of credibility, they destroy. Anything that has canon, they will destroy. That's what Hollywood does. I'm sure that if Bounding in Comics wanted to, they probably could have did a top 30 list of franchises that have gotten destroyed because of wokeness. Wokeness is a cancer, and if you don't cut it out, it's going to kill you. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Broganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace!